All right, hello everyone, and welcome to the Bachelor of Nursing Rural Community Route Information Session offered by the University of Calgary, the town of Wainwright, and Alberta Health Services. That's not numbered. Okay, just a little bit of housekeeping. This session is going to be recorded and it will be shared online at a later date, just for your awareness. We ask that you keep your microphone muted and camera off just to limit feedback and keep our file size manageable. And if you have questions, there is a Q&A at the bottom of the screen. Feel free to ask your questions at any time during the presentation, and we will be answering questions at the end. I'm going to introduce our presenters tonight. We have Dr. Zahra, Associate Dean, Undergraduate Practice Education at the University of Calgary's Faculty of Nursing. My name is Emma Lockyer. I'm an Admissions Officer and Program Specialist in the Faculty of Nursing. We've got Tammy Cernick, Senior Advisor, Provincial Nursing Strategy with Alberta Health Services. Jamie Malone, Area Manager for the MD of Wainwright with Alberta Health Services. And Carly Herbert, Economic Development Officer with the town of Wainwright. And online with us as well, we've got Carrie McKay, Manager of Undergraduate and Graduate Programs in the Faculty of Nursing. Carolyn Trumper, the Executive Director of Integrated Quality Management with Alberta Health Services. And Christine Smith, our Rural Emergency Practice Lead with Alberta Health Services. So with that introduction, I am going to turn things over to Dr. Zahra to start us off.
Well, welcome everyone. Really excited to launch this information session. So my job here is to welcome you all and also just provide some overview of the curriculum that we are going to be launching. And so the overview of the Bachelor of Nursing curriculum at the University of Calgary is a 4-year program, and courses run from September to April with a break between May and August. And usually after your 4 years, after you've completed the 4 years of the program, you graduate with a Bachelor of Nursing, which is a BN degree. And following that, there is, a couple of things. So once you finish your school, you will be registered as a graduate nurse with the CRNA. And once you write your NCLEX exam and pass that exam, which is a registered nurse exam that's held annually, well, there's a few sessions, but you do it at the end of your program. Once you pass that and you've been registered, then you can change your status to an RN, and that would just require you to contact the CRNA to let them know, and then you would be getting a registered nurse. So that's sort of the program overview, looking at what it entails. So this specific program, which is our remote rural program with the Wainwright, we've partnered with Alberta Health Services, and we actually have a physical space at the Wainwright Health Center. And, this is really exciting for us because the current students are just starting to use this space. But it's a blended delivery. So there is an online component, which would be your theoretical component, which is offered at the University of Calgary campus, and it will be remotely offered to you. And then there's an in-person hands-on labs and clinical experience in Wainwright. And this is where there is that designated 2 classrooms that students come together. They can do their theory online there, and they can also do their labs there as well. The reason why we've chosen this type of a blended delivery online is because then we can have students that don't need to relocate from their rural area, and they can actually study from home, but they can also have a campus, like a satellite campus that they can go to. So this is sort of your space with your peers that you can study with, you can attend online classes with, but then you can also have the time to have a skills practice if you're, wanting to practice your, blood pressure or your any types of skills. And we do have an individual as well that will be introduced later on that can support you on site as well. Emma, thank you. So the curriculum really is divided into the these these 7 sections, and it is an integrated curriculum. And so I'll talk a little bit about what those courses will look like, but really what we're trying to do is, the key component is understanding what nursing is, the practice discipline, in terms of what are your associations. And so looking at, CRNA, what are your scope of practice, what is CNA, which is your Canadian Nurse Association, the ethical practice boundaries, your oath, things like that really look at nursing as the discipline and in the practice section. Then it's also talking about, we talk a lot about student as a profession or as a professional, and it's really preparing you to be able to provide safe care, quality care. And so, what does that look like? And then, of course, we also want to think about RNs, their scopes of practice is expanding, and a lot of our RNs are in leadership positions. So understanding, thinking about what evidence looks like, what inquiry looks like, what are some of the things that you're seeing in practice, and taking that sort of a leadership role and understanding from a scholarly lens in terms of what it is that you may want to think about in terms of research within the practice to inform policy. So there's components of that in terms of what does that look like for a registered nurse, knowing the client, understanding and managing complex health challenges. We know that our population is aging. What does that look like? There's a lot of health challenges related to chronic illness, to communicable diseases. How does that influence your patient, their family, looking at determinants of health and things like that. And also not only looking at it from a disease perspective or illness perspective, we also think about it from a population health perspective. So thinking through, what does that primary healthcare look like? How do we think about it from an upstream approach? So we're not just thinking about patients that are coming into the hospital and leaving, coming back, this revolving door. We're really thinking about a way to think about primary health care and making sure that we're understanding what screening looks like and looking at it from a population health perspective. And then, as I mentioned before, we've got lots of RNs that are in leadership positions. I myself is an RN. You'll see a lot of RNs here today that are in leadership position. So understanding what those opportunities are, and how you can play an important role within the healthcare system from that lens. So that's sort of our curriculum in a nutshell. So Emma, I'll get you to move on. Thank you. So in the first year, so as I said, there's 4 years. So the first year, which we call term 1 and term 2, is really focused on getting the foundational courses. And a few courses include kinesiology, which is your human anatomy and physiology. It's a 2-term. So there's term 1, which is the anatomy physiology course 1. And then in the winter, you continue on and do your human anatomy and physiology course number 2. There are some certain requirements to be able to move forward, which is a minimum of a grade C- to be able to continue into year 2. There's also expectations related to making sure that there is an academic writing course that you have to pass. There's a junior stat options that you need to take. We recommend statistic 205, which we give you an option for to where to take it. It is online. And then, of course, the philosophy option as well, junior philosophy option, and all open options. Now, you only need to take these 5 courses, or there's certain amount that you need to get, and Emma will talk a little bit about the details of it, but it is suggested that you need to get all these done in year 1 and meet the requirements, so then you can get into year 2 where there's more of the clinical focus and getting into the hands-on clinical practicum pieces. So as I mentioned, the overview of our curriculum is an integrated curriculum. And so when we're looking at year 2, 3, and 4, so term 1 and 2, I just spoke about. So you'll enter, once you meet all those requirements and your foundational courses, you enter term 3, which is now all of the nursing courses. And there are 4 nursing courses that are offered every term. And the first one is always an 8-5. So you'll see nursing 285, 385, 485, 495, and 5 8.5. And these are really looking at, again, your discipline and your profession and patient safety, quality, evidence-informed practice, and things like that. So that's your course. And it's just developing at that level and scaffolding as you move into becoming a junior to a senior student. Then the second course is your 8.7 course, which you'll see here in, second year is 287, 387, 487, 497, and then your senior course that you can choose in term 7. And basically this is your science. So looking at all of the science pieces to health, which is then supported by your nursing course, which is the 8.8 courses, again, in each of those terms. And then the practice course, it's your hands-on clinical course that you actually go into the community, or you actually go into perhaps the long-term care or in the hospital. So in term 3, you start in the community. So you get to learn about the community that you're serving and why it's important to understand the determinants of health and to understand that community, because then you move into looking at what that community looks like for elderly, and then looking at it from an acute care in the hospital and understanding the patients from chronic diseases as well as you move through the years. The last, like the term 7, which is your year 4, that's where you have an option of picking where you'd like to go. We try to give you the first 3 options that you choose, but there is an option of acute care, which is your, looking at the hospital acute care and chronic illness within the acute care setting. We've got oncology, we've got perinatal. So, those types of options that are offered, and you can choose where you want to. We do tend to try to give you the first top 3 choices. And then your term 8 is you'll be one-on-one with an RN doing your preceptorship in the hospital or in critical care or in the community. But that is your final focus, that you need certain hours to be able to finish your program to be able to become a grad nurse. So that's sort of the overall years from 2 to 4.
Thank you, Zahra. So I'm going to talk about the admissions requirements in the process. So applications will close on March 1st, 2022. So they're open for 1 more month from today. You apply online. All applications to the University of Calgary are online through Apply Alberta. There is a rural community route application, so you apply specifically to the Wainwright program. So the high school courses that are required for admission are English 30-1, Math 30-1, or 30-2. We will accept either. It doesn't matter which one you take. Chemistry 30, biology 30, and a 5th approved course, option course, which will present a large number of transfer credit, may be assessed based on your grades in your transfer courses instead of on high school courses. But regardless, all of these courses are requirements. The other thing that's in your interest in rural nursing. So when you apply, you're going to need to check the box that says you're applying under diverse qualifications, which is a specific admissions pathway at the university, and that will give you the ability to upload your personal statement, which will be reviewed as part of the admission process. So we want to see that why you want to specifically be a nurse in the rural community rather than an urban setting, for example. And with that, I will turn it over to Tammy.
Thank you, Emma. So hi, everyone, and thank you so much for joining in this evening. My name is Tammy Cernick. I am a registered nurse with Alberta Health Services, and I live in the community of Camrose. So the majority of my nursing career has been in the rural setting as well, and it's been very rewarding for me. I'm just going to highlight a few components of what the health system has to offer registered nurses and what those various roles and employment opportunities are. In healthcare and within Alberta Health Services, we like to say really there's no wrong door to come in and engage in the health system, because every experience and opportunity really matters, and it builds you up and builds your competencies and your skills and all those things we love are very high level nursing, quality nursing to achieve. So when we talk about opportunities, often people are surprised that we have specialty nursing practice type roles in rural as well. So Zahra, for example, mentioned oncology or perinatal opportunities within the program to do some practicum, and we have those opportunities in rural. We also have perioperative operating room certification. We have ER opportunities as well as just general nursing roles, and then home care and public health. So these are all things that you can think about as you move forward, kind of building the vision and what your career path might look like if you determine to take this pathway into nursing. When we talk about pay for nurses, students are often curious about what that looks like. Well, when you are all finished your 4-year formal nursing program requirements, we would have you make application to the College of Registered Nurses of Alberta, and you would obtain a provisional permit. That provisional permit still says you're a graduate nurse, but you can commence with your nursing practice within the health organization. When you come in at that level, you would receive a pay rate of $34.39 per hour, and that is a base salary rate. If you worked, for example, a night on a weekend, we would add an additional $8.25 on top of that base salary rate. So you can see how quickly the hourly compensation rate can add up. Once you write your NCLEX licensing exam, you then move to a registered nursing permit through the College of Registered Nurses of Alberta, and your wage goes up as well. So your wage then goes up to $36.86 per hour currently, and then there's various steps that move you forward depending on the number of nursing practice hours that you've done over time. So the maximum base salary rate for registered nurses currently is $48.37. So when you think about that $36.86 to $48.37, and then start adding the shift differential if you work evenings, nights, or weekends, and then if you work overtime with approval, you would receive 2 times that base salary rate per hour. So that's just a quick example of the type of pay and compensation a registered nurse would receive. When we talk about benefits, we just want to highlight that registered nurses and other health professionals within the health system receive benefits such as dental and drug coverage, access to health and wellness, flex credit account, so you have an opportunity to determine where you want to put your benefit credits and what you want to put them towards. So maybe you want to have more opportunity for massage therapy. You could put additional flex benefit credits towards things like that. So dental, drug, and then the flex credit account, as well as being part of the local authority's pension plan. So a pension plan is something that you will be thinking about in your future. And those are great benefits. Within the health organization, unique to Alberta Health Services, is that you qualify for benefits at a half-time position. In some other provinces across the nation, you must be working full-time in order to qualify for benefits. So we do like to highlight that point as well. And I'm open to any questions after our session, so I will send it back to you, Emma, and let you continue on.
Sorry, I was muted. I'll turn it over to Jamie now to talk about what students can expect at the Wainwright site.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Can you see me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Jamie.
Okay. I'm trying to share my video. Am I showing it?
So I didn't realize you were planning to share screen. I can.
Oh, no,
I can
I
give
don't
you
need to
permission.
share my screen.
Oh.
I just meant to share the, like, I can't see myself speak, but maybe.
I can see you. You're on. We can see your video.
Okay, perfect.
Or we can see you. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Hi, everyone. It's nice to meet you. My name is Jamie Malone, and I'm the area manager here in Wainwright for the Wainwright Health Center. I have been out in this rural area for just over 10 years. And so we're just so excited to be here and to meet all of you. We had the first cohort of 8 students start here at the Wainwright Health Center in September. And so we're just really looking forward to starting our next cohort of students, and so what it'll look like from Wainwright's perspective is once you're accepted and you start in September, you know, we will be doing a site tour in Wainwright. There are 2 beautiful classroom spaces that we have converted for virtual classes, for you to be able to utilize when you're meeting with your group, and also doing your labs. And so we will be doing a tour of the hospital. We'll be showing you those classroom spaces, you know, give you a little bit of an orientation. And then, of course, you'll be meeting me. And I also have Christine Smith, who's on the line, and she's our rural ER practice lead, who also is supporting our students here in regards to the concept of community of learning. And so, you know, Christine will be meeting with our students you know, every couple of weeks and in person when you're available. And so really, you know, what we're here to do is provide you support. You know, you'll get to know the teams here at the site, and hopefully we'll have lots of our students doing their practicum placements in Wainwright, as well as supporting practicum placements within that 120-kilometer radius. So we do have students that aren't just from Wainwright. So it really is a rural community perspective. We have students from Vermilion and Hardisty and Provost. And so depending on what community you're coming from, we are going to have practicum placements, not just in Wainwright. So we really want you to have the full picture of what it means to practice in the rural areas, and that's also some of the other facilities around us. So so yeah, we're really excited to meet a new group and welcome everyone into the new space. And I think when we partnered with U of C, we're just so grateful that we were able to have this opportunity. And I think it's that whole concept of, you know, grow your own, and having the ability to be able to take a full 4-year degree right here at home. And so we're super fortunate that we're the first to have this done in the province, and we're looking forward to accepting another cohort of students. And yeah. So any other questions, please put them in the chat and hopefully I can answer them.
Great, thank you, Jamie. And with that, we'll move on to Carly from the town of Wainwright.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our session. So glad to have you here. Obviously, I know I've seen a few of your names are from Wainwright, but I don't know if you all are. So I just want to kind of give you a little bit of information about our community, because we want your experience here to be both great and fantastic in the classroom as well as outside of the classroom. So I'm just going to give you a little rundown of our community in case you're not aware. We really have a fantastic place. We have great recreation here. So if you're looking for stuff to do or need some exercise to you know, when you're studying or something like that, we have the Peace Memorial Multiplex and Communiplex, which has our 2 indoor rinks, our indoor walking track, our rock wall, our indoor swimming pool with the hot tub and sauna. We have a weight room, we have theaters. And I mean, we also have a lot of private facilities as well, gyms, taekwondo, you name it. We have a ton of different organizations, service clubs, if you want to volunteer, cultural, kind of anything that you're looking for, we probably have it or we can get it. We also have cross-country ski trails, which are popular right now, and outdoor rinks. We also just got 2 virtual golf simulators at our golf course. And the golf course is where the cross-country skiing trails are as well. We have beautiful walking trails and parks in our community as well. Great shopping. We have a lovely downtown, lots of really unique and niche shops, as well as, of course, the big box, the Marks, the Canadian Tire, Walmarts, all that good stuff. And if you're into camping, we have really close camping. We have a couple campgrounds in town. Within 15 minutes, you can go to Arm Lake, you can go to Riverdale. We have Clear Lake and Schuster and Arm Lake, which right now is busy with ice fishing, but you can go there swimming in the summer. And then lots of events. Obviously, a lot of them have been put on hold because of COVID, but I feel we're on the positive swing. We're going to hear right away if the arts festivals go for the end of this month. Our Stampede is our biggest event in June, and it's been on pause for 2 years, but we're really thinking it's going to go this year. We have a taste of Wainwright, lots of different things. So basically, I just want to tell you, like, if you have any questions about our community or really anything, and you're just not sure, feel free to contact me. I've lived here most of my life, and I've worked for the town of Wainwright for almost 15 years. So I'm fairly well connected. And if I don't know, I can find out who does know. So we really just want your experience to be really great while you're here. And we're very, very excited to have this program. Nursing is so important. Healthcare is just crucial. So if you guys do choose to go into this profession, we welcome you here, and we really appreciate you doing your program here and becoming nurses. So that's all I want to say. My contact information is there. So like I said, anytime, feel free to reach out. Thank you.
Thank you, Carly. So with that, we have time for some question and answers. I see we have some questions popping up in the Q&A already. So Carrie's going to moderate the Q&A for us and is going to bring some questions up for our panel to answer live. If you have detailed advising questions that are more kind of specific to your personal situation or just that are going to be more in depth, we would ask that you send those via email. You can email bnosinfo, Bachelor of Nursing Offsite info at ucalgary.ca, and our advising team, most likely myself, will be happy to help you out. So with that, Carrie, why don't we start bringing up some chat or some Q&A questions?
Okay, so our first question is, are there any other requirements such as first aid or heart and stroke?
This is not an admission requirement. There are some first aid and CPR requirements, but those are after you've been formally admitted to the program. You get that information, so no need to worry about that at this stage.
Okay, the next question is, hello. So I already applied to nursing to the University of Calgary main campus. I was wondering if I could change or transfer that application from main campus to the rural option, or will I have to apply again, but this time apply to Wainwright?
I guess I'll answer that one as well. You can absolutely transfer your application. You can make changes to your application right up until March 1st, the application deadline. You do that through your University of Calgary portal, the My UCalgary. There are instructions on how to do it online. If you have questions, send me an email, bnosinfo@ucalgary.ca, and I can get you some more detailed instructions on changing that application over to the rural route.
All right. Okay, next question is, how many students will be accepted for this program?
I guess I'll take that one as well. We're anticipating 8 seats in each admission cycle into year 1. We may admit students into year 2 if space allows.
All right, we're just cruising along. Okay, another question. Will this route be available next year for admission into the 2023 September start season?
Yes, we are expecting to have this program every year is the absolute plan. So we'll have 8 more seats next year.
Well, technically it's a 4-year pilot. It is a pilot program,
Oh,
right?
it's a pilot.
But as far as we're concerned, we will be continuing to have intakes in fall 2023 as well. Now, Emma, we're giving you a break. I think the next question will probably, maybe Tammy wants to take this or Jamie, but the question is, what are the usual shift hours of a registered nurse? Is 3 12-hour shifts a week the usual, or is it more regular, such as 9 to 5, question mark? Sorry. Are there various options, opportunities, and what would be expected for a newly graduated RN?
So Jamie, I'm going to start by letting you just kind of highlight what your environment looks like, and then we'll see if there's any additional information I can share.
Yeah, so I think that's it's a good question. I think fortunately, especially in rural Alberta, there's a lot of different options as a registered nurse. So it really depends on what area that you end up wanting to apply into. So just as an example in Wainwright here, we have long-term care, which is working with our seniors, and they're 8-hour shifts. So typically, cycle would be, so 8 hours would be like you would start at 7 a.m. until 3:15. And then an evening shift would be 3 p.m. To 11:15. And then a night shift would be 11 p.m. to 7:15 a.m. So that would just be one example. So it really just depends on where you're interested. In acute care, for example, we have 12-hour shifts. And so it's 7 to 7. And the collective agreement that we have with UNA is the max that you can work in a row for 12-hour shifts is 4. So it typically depends on what your FTE is, if you're part-time, if you're full-time, what your rotation would look like. If you say you decided you wanted to apply into home care is 8-hour shifts, and the majority of those shifts are Monday to Friday. Where in an acute care and long-term care setting, you take turns working weekends and that sort of thing. So there's a lot of option. It just really depends on what area you're able to get into and apply. So from a new grad perspective, I think, again, what's really lucky in rural is that there's quite a bit of option and opportunity, and it really just depends on where you land. And I think that's what is really important during the practicum hours, is being able to go into each of those areas and get that practicum experience and decide, what interests you, and maybe it all interests you, and then go from there. But there's lots of option and lots of variety.
And I would just like to add, Jamie, thank you. I think that's a really clear overview. When Jamie speaks to FTE, that means full-time equivalency. So when you look at a job posting on the AHS job board, when you see FTE, it will tell you what point position that job is, if it's half-time at a 0.42, for example, or if it's a full-time equivalency. Another thing I can tell you is that when it comes to new graduates and the amount they're going to work, it is really important after you complete your studies and your formal program that you really consolidate your skills and knowledge and really gain some confidence in your practice. And so we have opportunities to guide you into nursing practice after you graduate. We call it transitional grad nurse opportunity, where you can get some additional support as you transition from student to new graduate or practicing registered nurse. And in that first couple of years, it's very important to gain that skill level and develop that further. And that will set you up for a really great career with lots of options as to where you might want to go next. So I just wanted to highlight that as well.
Okay, thank you both. Okay, next question. It's really very good question as well. I was wondering if you could clarify how often it will be required to be in Wainwright for each year. In other words, are there years when it is worth relocating to Wainwright, or years when getting a hotel room is more practical when it is necessary to be in Wainwright? Zahra, do you want to take that question?
Sure. So year one, when you're completing your physiology and anatomy, there is an on-site expectation, so some lab time, and you don't have to be there every day, but there is some expectation that you'll be coming in for your lab times. Year 2, 3, and 4, you are actually in the clinical practicum piece, so you are expected in a week, you do 16 hours of face-to-face with your clinical instructor, and then there is 4-hour lab component that is the expectation to be in Wainwright. Now, because we also have a little mini satellite campus with the 2 classrooms, and Jamie, you can speak a little bit more to this as well. The idea is that the students would be coming together and doing their theory courses together to develop that social connection and feel like you're going into a classroom as well. So there is going to be quite a bit of time spent in the health center itself, either being on the floor in your clinical practicum or doing labs or attending theory classes. Jamie, did you want to add anything more to that?
Yeah, I think, I absolutely agree. I think from a nursing perspective as well, I think it's really important to be at the site and be with your peers and your cohort and really get to have a feel of being within the hospital and doing your labs and supporting each other when you go through the courses. And so, yes, I would agree, Zahra, that there is going to be quite some time spent in Wainwright, for sure.
Yeah, and you can always reach out to Carly as well in terms of housing and support in the community, what's offered. You know, I think that is part of being in this small program, is that we have quite a bit of people that have different specialties. And so I would defer that question to Carly as well. Did you want to say anything?
Just yes, absolutely. If you need help finding, rental or anything like that, I'm here to help for sure. And we can do that. We know lots of people. It's a smaller community, so we know people. Thanks.
And I know families love to take students as well, so there might be that opportunity as well.
Yeah, and I think that's why when we had discussed as a committee and as a group, we had chosen that 120 was the maximum as far as kilometers, just because we did want to ensure that it was still able to be for people to drive and considering weather conditions and that sort of thing as well. So that's why it's capped at that 120.
Okay, great. And just wanted to mention, if you hear your question asked and you have a follow-up, you can just pipe in or just add to it. Just let us know. The next question is, are there opportunities to become a travel RN? Are there special requirements to become a travel RN? So we're going to start with Emma on that. And then if anyone else has anything to add, feel free.
Absolutely. So I support applicants or alumni from all of our University of Calgary programs who are seeking licensure abroad. And we especially recently have had tons of our alumni taking travel nursing positions, a lot in the US, but we have seen them go all over the world. It's absolutely a possibility. The requirements are going to depend on exactly where you're going. And by that, I mean, even by the state that you're going to, even by the agency that you're working with. A lot of them are going to have a minimum number of practice hours. So usually we don't see students or alumni taking travel nursing positions until they're a couple of years post-graduation. And yeah, there's typically some paperwork you have to do, verifying your education, verifying your license, all things like that. But it's absolutely a possibility.
I would just like to add to Emma's point, within Alberta Health Services, we have a travel nurse opportunity as well. You're staying in Alberta, but the travel nurse opportunity is in our north area. So it's the same concept where you come into the north, you can stay for a timeline of the assignment, the cost of accommodation, transportation, and a daily per diem for cost of food, etc., is covered. Plus you get an additional $6 an hour on top of your regular wage. And that's a North Zone opportunity. There's more information on that on our website as well. I mean, we know that if you're practicing and being educated in a rural environment and learning the generalist model of nursing and understand a little bit more about that rural practice and you know, the people that will come to you and the system for care, then transitioning to alternate areas of rural like north is something that works quite well for those nurses as well.
And Caroline, I think you had something else to add. Did you want to add something?
Hi there. I just wanted to add in on the other question around staying in Wainwright, is that this is a rural program. We're really excited around having that rural program, and that there is opportunity to have practicums done in some of our other rural facilities that are in that 120K geography. So I think that's something to consider as well. Your practicums and your clinicals may not always necessarily be in Wainwright. They may be in a rural facility that is closer to you.
That's great. Thank you. Does anyone else have anything else they wanted to add to that? Are we good? Okay. So the next question is wondering about tuition. So I'm going to post, I'm going to see if this works. I'm going to post a link in here because the tuition changes. And so we always refer students to the calendar so that you have the most up to date. The tuition will be changing for next year. So it is best to just refer to that link. Are you able to see that link? Can someone just let me know if you're able to see that link through the answers, the questions?
Yes, if you go to answered, it will show the question and it shows a little response from Carrie McKay with a link.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so yes, that's the best thing to do is to go to that site and to look at the tuition that way, because it does change. So we never give you a standard answer on that. Your best thing is to look at that. It does change from year to year, and it does get updated with the calendar. The updated calendar will go live, I believe it's April 1st, right, Emma?
I think it's a little bit later than that.
I think I'm getting, that's grad calendar. It's July. It's July.
I think it's July 1st, isn't it?
It's July 1st. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so the next question is, how many hours of learning is there in a day? I just wonder if it's a full 8 hours of day of learning and then studying time on top of that. Zahra, why don't you answer that?
Sure. So, you know, year one looks a little bit different because it is the foundational and sort of the option courses. So that's mostly your scheduling. You just need to make sure that you're there for the on-campus lab time, which is probably 4 hours a week requirement, and it could be in person or online. Year 2 and 3 changes. So usually it is a full 8-hour day. So as I mentioned before, for example, term 3, you have 16 hours of clinical time, either in the community that you'll be working with your instructor, and then 4 hours of lab time, which will be on site. And then there is the theory courses, which there are 3 theory courses, 3 hours each. So nursing is full-time. I think it's just under 36 hours a week that you have to commit to be able to when you're in year 2, 3, and 4.
Zahra. The next question we have is, can you transfer into this program if you already have a degree and or have taken classes? So Emma, why don't you answer that?
Absolutely, you can. Depending on what you've taken, how many courses you've taken, things like that will make a little bit of a difference. So really recommend you send me an email, bnosinfo@ucalgary.ca. Let me know what you've taken, maybe send me a copy of your transcripts, and we can figure out the best path for you.
Excellent. Okay, so the next question is, has a competitive average been determined from the past 2 years of admissions? If so, what is it? So we've only had 1 year of admissions so far. But essentially what happens is the competitive average is determined based on the applicant pool of that year. So we don't have an average that rolls from year to year. Last year it was definitely over 80 overall. Mid to high probably, but again, that really depends on the applicant pool. And the other piece that is the factor is the essay as well, the statement that you provide also. Okay. If you have any follow-up questions to that, please add them. Thank you. Okay, next question is, what are the time for classes? I mean, is it Monday to Friday or whole day? So Zahra somewhat answered that already. She did go through basically everything. It does have, you'll have some longer days when you have clinical. Your first year, because you're not taking any nursing courses, you might have some shorter days. But once you're in your second year upwards, you're going to have full days for sure. All right, next question. When will we know when we have been accepted or not? Emma, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, so we'll probably start admitting students probably around late April, but as space allows, we can make offers through to the end of June or into early July, even if a seat comes available. So it really just depends a little bit.
Thank you. Okay, so the next question is, one of the requirements within the application process is an essay. Can you clarify whether the character count includes spaces or not? Yes, it does include them. Okay, so next question is, what exactly is the diverse qualifications process for applying? So Emma, why don't you go into that a little bit more detail?
Yeah, absolutely. So diverse qualifications is an admission pathway at the University of Calgary. It's really designed to admit students who have shown excellence in areas outside of academics. In this particular case, we use it for the rural community route because we have a limited number of seats. We're looking for students who have a passion for rural nursing, for rural communities, and who have a desire to live and practice in their home area, which is why we also do have the 120-kilometer residency radius with Wainwright. We just want students to demonstrate, tell us why you want to be a nurse in your rural community, why you want to stay there, why nursing is important to you, why nursing is important in your community, things like that. We're just looking to see that you're going to be a good fit and passionate about this specific program, the specific entry route, and those kinds of things. So it's an additional layer. We are going to be looking at your grades as well, but these are all reviewed by a committee holistically.
So that is all our questions. There's one area that we wanted to revisit just to make sure you guys had a full picture. Emma's going to talk a little bit more about vaccination requirements and the criminal police check. So I'll give that back to you, Emma.
Sure. So when students are admitted to any of our nursing programs, there are some requirements that you have to do before you start the program. So that includes a police information check, sometimes called a criminal background check, criminal record check, things like that, with a vulnerable sector search. So this is a background check for, I believe, everyone in these areas. You'd be running it with your local RCMP detachment. It's a criminal background check. Because we do the vulnerable sector search, you're working with vulnerable populations, you're working with children, you're working with the elderly. Vulnerable sector searches search for pardons as well, because we do, and this goes on with AHS as well, and it's part of our practice agreement, you do have to have a clear criminal record. We also require a number of vaccinations, which is pretty standard, but I am going to touch on, of note, we do require students to, at this time, have 2 doses of a Health Canada approved COVID-19 vaccination. This is absolutely mandatory for us. It's mandatory for AHS. There are some other vaccinations as well, hepatitis B, tetanus, and things like that. You also do a N95 mask fit test, which you'll get more information about, but that is a requirement for anyone who's going to be in a hospital setting. And I did touch on earlier that a healthcare provider level CPR and first aid course is a requirement as well. So all of that you get a lot more info about as we get a lot closer to the program starting, but just things to be aware of, that you do need to be vaccinated, you do need to have a clear criminal record, and be ready to get into practice.
Okay, thanks, Emma. So I'll give you guys one last chance. Is there any other questions that people want answered before we wrap things up? I don't see any other questions. Okay, I'll give you a couple of seconds there. Does any of our panelists have anything else they want to mention that they thought of while other people were talking? Feel free to pipe in. Doesn't look like it.
I can just add, the uniqueness of this rural program. I think what differentiates it from the urban program is that you've got lots of supports, lots of different avenues that you can go and ask questions. And really, we're looking for people that really are passionate about rural nursing, and this is where you want to be practicing after. So just thinking through that, it is a huge rural and remote type of nursing, which you'll see a different practice than what you would see in the urban area. So really, you'll get to practice in all the settings. So even though I've said, you get to specialize in perinatal and this, in the rural area, really, it's whatever walks in the door, and you can be part of that. And I think that's the uniqueness, because it's such a small knit community. And I don't know if anybody else wants to add anything to that from the rural community, but I just think that this is an excellent opportunity to practice within the team, that not only do you get to see what an RN does, but you get to see what a physician does, what other allied health do as well. So just wanted to add that in.
I would agree, Zahra. I think this is an amazing opportunity, because you're going to be like right in the hospital, right? Not on a campus. You're right there. So you're getting to know, the doctors and the nurses and how it works. So you're getting that firsthand experience that you don't always get until you're working. So hopefully you guys got a lot out of tonight, and hopefully you apply. Thanks.
We have one other question here in the chat, and it's regarding tuition. Is the RN program a 3-unit program? I'm wondering for tuition. So if you take a moment to actually look at that link that I sent out, you will see that it refers to programs that are 3 units. And yes, nursing, most of our courses are 3-unit courses. So we do fall under that category.
I just add, typically students are taking 15 units per term. In your first year, as Zahra talked about, it's all those foundational courses, and those are all 3-unit courses. In years 2 through 4, your theory courses are 3 units each, and your clinical course is 6 units, so 15 units per term, with the exception of Nurse 599, which is a 15-unit course.
So basically plan on 15 units every semester is the gist of that, I would say, right?
Yes, I think so.
Perfect. Okay. Last chance.
Oh,
yes.
I was just going to say, I thought I read in the chat that there was a question around funding. Did you read that question?
Regarding financial aid. So we can refer, if someone has any questions, we can refer people to the financial aid office, but our office doesn't advise on student loans, but we can definitely help you. So again, if you have questions about, sorry, go ahead, Tammy.
Yeah, I was just going to mention to this group that if they are going to be getting a student loan, there is a federal program called Canada Student Loan Forgiveness. So if you do get a Canada student loan and you complete your program and your loan is in good standing, you can apply to receive reimbursement towards your Canada student loan through the Canada Student Loan Forgiveness Program, up to $20,000 if your rural community qualifies, and most rural communities in Alberta qualify. So you would put the postal code of the community into the federal loan forgiveness program, and it would pop up and let you know whether that's a qualifying community. Wainwright would be a qualifying community, as would the communities surrounding Wainwright. And then there's reimbursement towards your Canada student loan, $4,000 a year up to a maximum of $20,000. And there are some parameters around that. So something that you can check into, because many students take advantage of that.
I also wanted to mention that my understanding is that you also don't have to start paying back your student loan until 6 months after you're done your program. So, you know, you'll be working before you have to start paying that off. So.
And then
So
I was going to
Emma has
ask,
Emma's put the link in the chat. So the best thing to do is actually contact the financial aid office at the University of Calgary, and they'll be able to give you all the information that you need in terms of this program. And because it does change some, you know, occasionally changes, especially when there's new government sometimes. But yes, we highly recommend that you visit that as well.
and I was
Yeah,
just
so
going to
that's the link in the
mention, sorry.
Yeah, I just put that link in the chat there. So that is the University of Calgary's financial aid website. They've got information about student loans. You can contact them. If you want a referral, you can reach out to me and I can refer you to the financial aid office as well.
And then I just wanted to mention, Emma, Jamie, or I think just Jamie's left, or Carly, is there any scholarships or bursaries that you might be aware of in the local area? Through maybe even the city of Wainwright or anything like that?
I believe there is, and I'll look into that, and I can even send it out to the students for sure. Right, Jamie?
Yeah, so I do know, I mean, within the whole 120 kilometers, I wouldn't know the other communities, but within Wainwright, we do have the Dr. White bursary that the Health Foundation here does every year. And we get quite a few student applicants, and it depends. It could be RN, it could be healthcare aid. It's more anyone that's going within the medical field, and there's an application process to that. So yes, absolutely, there is that avenue, but maybe we need to take that one back and create maybe a little bit more information, not just what's available in Wainwright. So that's a good question.
And there's a number of resources through the University of Calgary as well regarding scholarships and awards. So last chance for any questions. Anybody have anything you want to ask? Any panelists have any questions, anything they can think of that we haven't covered? I think we've done pretty well. We're just under 3 minutes here, so that's pretty good. Okay. Oh, Emma has posted another one for the awards office, the website for the scholarships and awards. So please grab that link as well. And if you miss it, feel free to email us again. Emma, do you want to just, I think you already included the email address. So this is recorded, and what will happen is we will send out the link to everyone who attended tonight and registered, and you'll be able to view the recording as well. So we just want to take this opportunity to thank everybody for attending tonight, and we're really excited about this opportunity and this program, and we hope to see some of you in the fall. And if you need help getting your application in, again, just email us, and Emma has put the email address in there, bnosinfo@universityofcalgary.ca. So feel free to reach out to us. Emma, do you want to wrap things up?
Yeah, just thank you, everyone. Really great feedback, lots of great questions. As we've said, if you think of any other questions, feel free to send us an email. I'm more than happy to connect with you if you think of things later or have more detailed questions or anything like that. Applications close in a month, so if you want to apply, get your application in, and we look forward to you potentially joining us in the fall in Wainwright.
All right, that's great. Thanks everyone for attending. Thank you, panelists,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Bye-bye.